Hey everybody, my name is Gary Yao, and today I would like to share with you the reasons I found of why the housing market is going to crash. I don't give you my opinion on why it may or may not. Now, we have heard of the potential problems that we're heading to. We have two wars, we have a lot of money being printed out, inflation is running rampant, and we're heading to recession. So that might cause that home prices are bound to crash, or this is what I've been hearing. And I found some reasons from different sources of why the housing market is going to crash. And one of the major ones that I hear that being mentioned a lot is the shadow inventory. Now, what is shadow inventory? These are properties or stocks of properties that haven't hit the market, but they are getting ready to be sold in the open market. And when this happens, then obviously it's going to cause a crash because we will have a lot of supply, a lot of inventory, and then we no demand because people have no money to buy these properties. So that is the definition of shadow inventory. And where would these sources come from? Well, these sources, one will come from foreclosures. From this where a pause that was caused during the pandemic, where a bank will allow you not to pay your mortgage for a period of 18 to 24 months. So it's about 2 years period that you were allowed not to pay your mortgage, and that mortgage will go to the back end of the life of your mortgage. So you owe it for let's say 20 months, 20 years of mortgage left, it will become 22 years because the 2 years they owe will put it at the back. So a lot of these people who are actually struggling in getting out of forbearance, that they're not paying their properties, the mortgage, then they will foreclose. There will be a surplus of inventory, making this a crash, because then we have a lot of inventory, and again, people cannot pay for this. Now, reality is that there's no foreclosures. Actually, I haven't seen many. The reason why is because people who are in forbearance and couldn't pay their properties, and they are in notice of default, they have no reason to lose their properties because property values went up during the pandemic. Actually, they went up about 40 to 50%. So with equity, there's a lot you can do. You can negotiate with the bank of doing a refinance, put in maybe like a second, have a HELOC, home equity loan of credit, or refinance the entire loan, or sell it and pocket the difference. So we can sell it at market value because there's the appetite for it. Therefore, we don't see that much of people losing their houses. In fact, look at the numbers. We saw that a lot of homeowners who went to forbearance, they got off of forbearance before the 18 months mark. They just voluntarily went out of it because they didn't need it. It was more of, okay, we'll try it out, and no, I don't want it, I won't continue paying. And so, yeah. And we see that less than 20% of people who were facing foreclosure because of forbearance, they got off fairly fast because, again, they have equity. Second source of shadow inventory is builders. Builders' inventory were feeling the pinch because they built so many houses, and now people are not buying houses. That since the builders, they don't have a lot of money, they borrow money to build these properties, and in order to pay back the bank, they sell these properties for a profit, pay the bank for the loan, and they keep the profit. That's the business of a builder. However, because people are not buying houses because the interest is so high, that builders are now faced with the tough choice of selling other properties for as fast as they can, regardless of the price that they can get, even at a loss, so that they can pay the bank. And that will cause excess inventory, and then we'll have a crash. At least that's the theory. The reality is that builders are very cautious. They learned the lesson from the 2008 recession. We are not the same as from, let's say, China with Evergrande, that they built magnificent buildings, multi-units, housing, and new roads. Then they start building so much, but they didn't look at the demand. In fact, they have a declined population over there. So with a declined population, then the older people are already have the house. Who's going to buy all this? They didn't plan ahead, or apparently they were too eager, that thinking that it's going to work out fine. the difference between these two economies couldn't be any more farther, and it couldn't be any more opposed, because China depends on real estate for the economy. Their GDP is tied up so close to real estate that it is opposite to what we have here. I think that 1/3 of the GDP is real estate. In fact, in the US, less than 1%, less than 10% of our GDP is tied up to real estate. We have a healthy stock market. We have a lot of innovation. So no, real estate doesn't play a big part on the GDP of the US. And going back to the builders, because they're so cautious, this is how they do it. They build a model home. You go see the model home, you like it, you put your deposit, and then they will start building the rest of the houses. When they give you the keys of the house and that deal is closed, when they're done, that's when they start building the next phase of properties. They don't do it all at once. They build one, sell it, build it, give you the keys, and they do it again. Do a model home, get your money, build it, give you the keys, and they do it again. Now, if you were to look into builders, they are self-financed, which means that if you wanted to get a loan, you can actually get it for a builder at a better rate. As of this recording, interest rate are 8%. If you were to go to builders and get them to finance for you, you might even get a better rate. And they were, let's say, 7%, 6%. I even seen in today that some builders offer 5.5% financing, interest rate in the financing. So why would you do that? Why would you, if you have a chance to buy a brand new house for a less interest rate, you most likely would choose builders. And the thing is, a lot of people are. If you want to buy a brand new house from a builder, you would be getting into a waiting list. Most likely not. I'm not saying all of them, but the most sought after neighborhoods, you most likely will be in a waiting line. That will say, hey, if they don't buy, then we'll call you. And that happens from the pandemic till now. So yeah, because of that, I don't see why builders would cause shadow inventory and cause a crash. The other reason I hear people saying that there's going to be a crash is the Airbnb bust. One, because there's not enough bookings, there's not enough travelers. Travelers from abroad are not coming here because the dollar is so strong that they have no motivation to come here. There's no incentive because the inflation is so high that the other countries, they also print money, and that causes a strong dollar. Also, second is also the regulations. There's a lot of regulations around Airbnb, and some cities have outright banned Airbnb. Cities like New York, Dallas, parts here in LA, Anaheim, the county of San Bernardino limits you to have 2 Airbnbs only per owner. And I've seen people that have as much as 7 Airbnbs in San Bernardino County. So what does that mean? Is that, well, all these people, all these Airbnb owners, because they cannot pay for the mortgage because there's no booking, or they're being kicked out of the city from their Airbnbs, then the idea is that they will be forced to sell all these properties, and because there's a surplus of inventory, then it's going to be a crash and properties are going to finally come down, giving you with the opportunity to buy a house. Here's the reality. These Airbnb owners, because they bought these properties at a cheap interest rate at 2%, 3%, they can actually don't have to make that much money, and they want to keep these properties for the equity play. So they're going to keep these properties, change it from renting it for 1 to 2 days. They're going to start renting it for a midterm, 30 days midterm to 12 months minimum, which is long term. They can just lease it and just let it run, therefore making it less inventory in the market. Second, only a small percentage of people own a property, let alone having somebody own several Airbnbs. Yeah, I've seen people who own several ones, 5, 6, 7 Airbnbs. However, if all these Airbnb owners were to sell their properties at once, it would not cause a crash. In fact, in the most popular cities, this would be a much needed relief to give properties to people who want to buy. So yeah, all these properties that hit the market will be absorbed fairly quick. So I don't see how Airbnb is going to cause a crash, mainly because they only represent a small percentage of the population. The next thing I heard is people talk about the recession, and the recession I'm going to divide that in two major categories or two major points that I hear often and often. One part of the recession, if it it's going to happen, but one is that a job loss is going to crash the market because people are going to are going to be laid off. They have no job, so they're going to be at home. They're going to spend less, and because they're going to spend less, then the economy is going to slow down. People will not be able to pay their mortgage. They're going to get foreclosed. All these foreclosed properties are going to hit the market, and the real estate market, finally is going to crash, giving a window opportunity. But if people have no job, who's going to buy these houses? But that's not the topic. The reality, houses are going to crash because we have a historical low unemployment rate. In fact, as of now, we have a 3.2 unemployment rate. That means that 96.8% of the people, or almost 97% of the population, have a job. And here in California, we passed a law recently that the minimum wage is $20. So even if you work for McDonald's, let's say at $20, you have at least something to stay afloat. I was hearing on the radio the other day that this radio personality said that if he lost everything and he needed to start over again, he would just probably go to McDonald's and get like a two shift and a half, where he would work, instead of 40 hours, he would work 80 hours a week, and work first shift at daytime, maybe half shift at night, and then a full shift on the weekends, so that he can stay afloat. And he will do that in order to get to keep his house, keep food on the table, and write this off. And to me, that makes sense because we are so resilient, and people are more resilient than ever because we don't see a property, a house, as a commodity. This is our treasury. We treasure housing more now than we ever did before because it's so hard to come by. Next, we have credit card debt. I hear this a lot, and I'm just going to go this real quick. The idea is people are going to get bankrupt because we have so much credit card debt that they cannot pay. They're going to go bankrupt, and for some reason they're going to lose their house. And because they lose the house, it's going to again get foreclosed. Bank going to take it and put it in the market. The reality is, we all have debt. We have car debt, your vehicle, student debt, medical debt. We all have this debt before the pandemic. It's nothing new. We all have it, and it is nitpicking at this point to say that credit card consumer debt is going to be the downfall of a housing market, because when you are not doing as well, let's say you make less money, you see that there's a fear of recession, you're not going to be out there buying Birkin bags or Jordans. You'll be more inclined to be more moderate with your spending. So my point is, life will go on. We as people were more resilient, and yes, we were facing two wars. We're having a lot of money that is being printed out, costing everything too expensive. But it could be worse, because think about this. With so much being printed out in these last couple of years, your house or houses worth $600 today, 2023, should be worth about $1.5 to $2 million. And what is stopping that from happening? That's because the Federal Reserve and the chairman, Jerome Powell, is stopping that from happening by having a high interest rate at 8%. Imagine this, if interest rate were at 7, 6, 5, 4, or 3%, that would cause everything to go expensive because we print out all that money. That money is actually floating and it's not coming down. The only thing that's stopping that again is the Federal Reserve holding this fort, like a door from all these floodgates to come in. Look no further than Venezuela. They have I think that's a ridiculous number. I think they have like 1,000% inflation year over year or over that. The exchange rate is $1 for 100,000 bolivars, and they took out 2 zeros. Even with taking the zero, if it wasn't because of that, it would be $1 to like 1,000,000 bolivars. It's something ridiculous where I see people making weed basket out of the Venezuelan bolivar. So yeah, it is low. We have examples of that abroad. Now, when it comes to housing market, people say like, yeah, but how a $100,000 property, which is so expensive right now, is going to be worth $2 million. People cannot afford it. Well, we have examples of that too. Look no further than Japan, where where the capital people do not live in actual regular apartments. The new generation, they live in little pods, like the honeycomb, the little pods. Yeah, they live in those things because they cannot afford to buy a house. They cannot even afford to live in a regular apartment, let alone be a homeowner. All these places, they have big, large, I'm not sure if it's a public location. Yeah, it's like a apartment complex, but instead of renting this space, you rent out that one pot, and that's all you have as a house. So yes, we have examples of that in different areas, in different countries. So it's a reality that hopefully will not hit here at home. But and I think that we as an economy, we have the best economy in the world, and we should count our blessings. And I see that we will be able to overcome this together. And well, I just want to share this with you. My name is Gary Yao, and I'll be talking to you soon.